Well, hello, and welcome to the NFL Contest Show. I'm your host, Jesse Flynn. Well, that was quite an eventful week 3. A couple of those games came right down to the wire, but when it was all said and done, sitting at a perfect 5-0 on the week, 15-0 for the overall contest standings. Looking pretty good, but can't get complacent. Got to just stay focused on this week. A little side note before I go into my picks. I'll be live streaming from the Circa Sportsbook this Sunday on Instagram. So you can go on Instagram at Dead Money Media and follow along as I'll be posting throughout the day to see whether or not I can keep this streak going and finish the first quarter at 20-0 and put that $150,000 first quarter prize in my pocket. But hey, it's week 4. It's time to look at these games and see which ones I like. So let's get into it and let's see which 5 games I like for this upcoming week. So the first game that I like is the Kansas City Chiefs -7 heading out to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. This is just one of those, it's almost like a buy low spot on the Kansas City Chiefs. I know they haven't covered the spread in like 10 games. But this is an opportunity for the Kansas City Chiefs to get right. They've had 2 back-to-back really tough losses. They had 4 turnovers in that game last week against the Chargers, and it was still a 1-possession loss. Same thing with Baltimore. If it wasn't for a late-game fumble, they possibly could have won that game. You've got people out there already trying to bury the Chiefs. And I just think this team they're still the Chiefs. They're still, one of the elite teams in the NFL. They still got Tyreek Hill. They still have Travis Kelce. They still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have Andy Reid. I mean, what's there to say about this team? Yeah, the defenses look susceptible to the run, but they faced 2 of the best running teams in the NFL in the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. Last week, when they went up against the LA Chargers, they only gave up 55 yards to Austin Eckler. So clearly, if it's not a team that's an elite running team, this defense is more than fine. And then you look at the Philadelphia Eagles offense. They scored 30 points against the Falcons in week 1, but that was very misleading because of the way the Falcons went for it on 4th downs in their own territory. Which were basically turnovers. They scored 6 points against the San Francisco 49ers, and the offense scored 14 points in that Monday night game, but one of those touchdowns was in garbage time when the outcome of that game was already decided. I don't know what the Philadelphia Eagles' identity on offense is. This new coach, Sirianni, just looks like he's out of his depth. He went from being offensive coordinator in Indianapolis, which really wasn't that great of an offense to begin with, and now he's a head coach in Philly with a rookie quarterback, or basically a rookie quarterback, and it just does not seem to be working. I don't see them being able to run the ball on this team, especially if Kansas City gets out to a 14-point lead or a 17-point lead, and they have to lean on Jalen Hurts to throw the ball in order to get this team, back in this game. If they make Philadelphia Eagles one-dimensional, there's no way they win this game. I see this as a 35-17 game. I'll be shocked if the Eagles score more than 17 points in this game. And even though 7 points on the road is a big number to be laying, I don't think it's that big of a deal when you have the type of offensive capability that the Kansas City Chiefs have. So with my first pick for week 4, I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs -7. So the next game that I like is the Arizona Cardinals plus 4.5 taking on the LA Rams. This is a really good matchup this weekend. Division rivals, both teams are undefeated. We've got two really explosive offenses, two really good defenses going up against one another. I can see this being a highly contested game that's a 3-point game, that's decided on a field goal or maybe decided by a defensive stand against the opposing team to decide the outcome of this game. You're giving 4.5 points to the road team. I think a lot of that has to do with who the Rams beat last week, the defending Super Bowl champ, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Handily, they beat them pretty well. But we also saw that Tampa Bay was able to throw the ball against this Rams defense. I can see Kyler Murray and this offense that they have being able to throw the ball and get points on this team. They're going to have to slow down McVay, Stafford, and that Rams offense. But I believe this Cardinals defense is up to the challenge. I think we're going to finally see T.J. Watt make some noise for this defense. We should see Chandler Jones get back into his form, getting after Stafford. We know Stafford's not a mobile quarterback. He's not really very elusive. So if they can cover the wide receivers and not give him time in the pocket, they could really rattle him, and that could be the difference in this game. I think Arizona is a live dog. They could win this game outright, but now you're giving me 4.5 points with the Arizona Cardinals. So for my second pick for Week 4, I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals plus 4.5. So the next game that I like is the New York Giants plus 7.5 heading down to the Bayou to take on the New Orleans Saints. Last week, I was on the Falcons. I was fading the Giants. But that game, the Giants should have won that game. If they don't just keep, giving the Falcons opportunities with these self-inflicted, penalties, fumbled snaps, sacks on first down when you're in the red zone, they had every opportunity to win that game. They let the Falcons hang around, even though their defense was playing phenomenal through basically 3/4 of that game. Somehow their offense just couldn't get it in gear. They moved the ball just fine between the 20s. It was when they got down near the red zone that they just couldn't seem to capitalize. I think Jason Garrett needs to come up with some plays for Daniel Jones to use his legs and run the ball and exploit his mobility to, get some of these red zone opportunities into the end zone. And then we saw the New Orleans Saints. They looked good against the New England Patriots. Let's be clear. First of all, they were going up against a rookie quarterback who really doesn't have very many weapons on offense to throw the ball to. And that final score was a little bit misleading because the Saints had basically 2 pick sixes. One that was returned for a touchdown, one that was returned inside the Patriots' 10-yard line that eventually led to a touchdown. But I've seen Jameis Winston starting to show a little bit of the old Jameis. He's getting a little wild with his throws. He's getting a little careless. The old Jameis gunslinger starting to show up a little bit. And I think Joe Judge is going to have his defense ready. Remember, this guy's a Bill Belichick disciple. I'm sure he watched Belichick's game plan last week against the Saints. He saw what they did. Now, if you could just eliminate the turnovers that the Patriots had, they would have had a really good opportunity to win that game. So I think the Giants should have an opportunity to win this game outright. Now you're giving me 7.5 points. There's no reason for it to be that high other than this is just a public perception game. Everybody's seen the Giants stink. Nobody wants to bet on the Giants. In order to take the Saints, you've got to take a big number. Lay a big number with them at home. This game right now, I bet it at +8 earlier this week. In the Circa, it's +7.5. Right now, 6 hours after these numbers came out, it's now down to 7. Even though the Saints are getting 60% of the money is bet on the Saints right now, the number's moving against them. So you're getting some reverse line movement. So it's showing that some big bettors out there also agree with what I'm saying as far as this is just too high of a number for the Saints to be laying, regardless of the fact that they're at home. I don't think this home field advantage, at the Caesars Sports Dome or whatever it's called, Caesars Sportsbook Dome, is really going to matter. They might be hyped to start the game, this being the first game they're playing at home. But I don't think it's going to be that big of a factor later on in the game. I can see Saquon Barkley finally having his breakout game. It doesn't look like two of the wide receivers for the Giants are going to play, but they still have Kenny Golladay. They still have Evan Ingram at tight end. Joe Judge has talked about getting their rookie wide receiver Tony involved in the game. They also have Kyle Rudolph at tight end. And then once again, they have Saquon Barkley, who's a pretty good receiver out of the backfield. If Jason Garrett can come up with a game plan to use Daniel Jones' mobility to, maybe do some bootlegs, get this Saints defense, moving in one direction and have somebody coming across the other direction, they're really susceptible to that type of thing. And I think that the Giants are a live dog in this game. Now you're giving me over a touchdown. So for my third pick in this Week 4 Circa Millions, give me the New York Giants plus 7.5. My fourth pick for this week's Circa Millions, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 6.5 heading out to Lambeau to take on the Green Bay Packers. The Pittsburgh Steelers haven't looked very good the last 2 weeks, but they're getting their TJ Watt back on defense. He's really the straw that stirs the drink on this defense. He allows, he gets pressure on the quarterback, he makes this defense work because the defensive backs can hold their coverage long enough for a guy like TJ Watt to get pressure on the quarterback. It allows guys like Cam Hayward, Melvin Ingram, Devin Bush to roam around, to make plays. They just haven't had that the last couple weeks. The Pittsburgh Steelers offense hasn't really looked very good. They haven't run the ball well. Ben Roethlisberger's been struggling. The offensive line's been struggling. But this is still a Pittsburgh Steelers team that beat the Buffalo Bills in Week 1. If they can just eliminate the turnovers, they have a real opportunity to win this game. Now, this is definitely a buy low, sell high game for me. This really has a lot more to do with the actual number than it is the two teams. I just think Green Bay is getting way too much credit for their win against San Francisco last week, while the Pittsburgh Steelers are just getting buried because of their last two losses. Well, you're just giving me too many points with this game. I don't think the Steelers are going to get blown out. We've seen teams go up to Lambeau and go head-to-head with this Green Bay team before. Jacksonville Jaguars last year almost beat them in Lambeau. So, there's the home field advantage in Lambeau Field is in December and January. There isn't much of a home field advantage right now when the weather's fine. So I don't think that's going to be a factor in this game. Mike Tomlin, he's great when it comes to motivating his teams. He's good against the spread when he's coming off a loss like what they had last week. So this just lines up too well to not take the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now this pick could look like the worst pick of the weekend if the Green Bay Packers come out and just wipe the floor with the Steelers, but I just don't see it. Their defense is too talented. Now TJ Watt's off the injury report, so he should be playing this weekend. The offense at some point's got to start, coming around. And they should. If they can get Ben Roethlisberger just a little bit of time against this Green Bay team, he should be able to move the ball. They should be able to score some points against Green Bay. And I just don't think the Packers are going to be – I don't think they're as good as maybe they're getting the credit for. I was on Green Bay last week, but that was a really close game all the way down to the end. They're just getting too much respect from the betting market. I think they're getting about 80% of the money right now, but this line has not moved off of 6.5. It's actually gone down from 7 to 6.5. So you've had reverse line movement as well. So it's just a number for me on this one. I've got to take this and live with the results. So for my fourth pick, I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers plus 6.5. So my fifth pick for Week 4 of the Circa Millions is the Carolina Panthers plus 4.5, going out to Jerry's place to take on the Dallas Cowboys. I think this is a great matchup against two teams that really, they match up well against one another. You've got a great defense for the Carolina Panthers, going up a really good offense for the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, the Carolina Panthers haven't faced the toughest competition the first 3 weeks of the season. They're definitely moving up in class, taking on this Dallas Cowboys team. But I think that the defense is up for the challenge. Matt Rule is a really good coach. I think he's going to have his team prepared. They're going to throw some wrinkles at Dak. They're going to throw some things at him he hasn't seen on tape. They're going to try to confuse him into making mistakes. I think the defensive front will be able to hold their own against the run game. We got to see if what Dallas will do against an elite defense like this. And on the other side of the ball, we've seen Sam Darnold, all of a sudden become the quarterback people thought he could be when he was with the Jets. He's in a system that works well with him. He's getting the ball out of his hands. He did have a couple of fumbles last week, holding the ball in the pocket. He's definitely got to not do that. I think with the loss of McCaffrey last week, they may not have been prepared for that. But this, they've had plenty of extra time. They played on Thursday, so they've been able to prepare with Chuba Hubbard as the number one running back. I think he's going to perform just fine, substituting for McCaffrey. I can see, these wide receivers for Carolina, getting open against this Dallas Cowboys defense. They've certainly got their, work cut out for them. As we've seen, this Dallas defense is definitely a better version than what many people, including myself, would have thought they were going to be this year. But they've also, last week they faced off against a team that I have no faith in their offense, the Philadelphia Eagles. So that performance, I kind of just wiped that away, as they were completely outclassed, the Eagles were, by the Dallas Cowboys last week. But now they're going up against a much better team, a much better coach team, and they're getting 4.5 points, the Carolina Panthers. I just think that's way too many points. This could be a field goal game, very similar to what we saw against the Chargers, and this is also a play on the number. As I said, I believe this game is 3. This should be a 3-point game. It's 4.5 in the contest. This number has since dropped at Circa down to 4, even though Dallas is getting the majority. Well, it's about 50-50 now. They were getting the majority of the money earlier in the week. So we've seen a lot of big bettors coming in on this Carolina Panthers side. And this is just one of those plays that fits into the system that I like to use. So for my fifth and final pick for Week 4, I'm going with the Carolina Panthers plus 4.5. So those are my 5 picks for Week 4 of the Circa Millions contest. You can follow along with me this Sunday on Instagram at Dead Money Media to see me live streaming, sweating out these 5 plays to see if I can continue this hot streak, go 20-0, potentially put that first quarter prize in my pocket. Thanks a lot to everybody out there that's been watching. I know I've gotten a lot of new subscribers and some comments from people watching these videos. I really appreciate all of it. Tell anybody, tell your friends to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helped me out a lot. I hope you're making a lot of money off these picks. I do have a question for everybody out there. Has anybody parlayed all 5 of my picks? And if so, what were the odds? I haven't. And I'm not a math guy. I'll tell you straight up, I'm not a math guy, so I haven't even looked at the numbers of what it would have been. But I'm just curious. Has anybody parlayed all 5 of these games, any of these 3 weeks? And if so, what was the payout? Just curious. But hey, once again, thanks for watching. If you've got any help or any information out of these videos, hit that like and subscribe button. I hope you're having a great weekend. I hope you're making a lot of money. I hope you're having a lot of fun. Let's enjoy this week 4 of the NFL season. Take care of yourselves out there, and thanks for watching.